We have breaking news now from Ohio State. The Buckeyes have selected their new athletic director. They just made it official moments ago. Texas A&M's Ross Bjork has accepted the job.
That's right. Bjork has worked at A&M, Ole Miss, and Western Kentucky as the athletic director. He was a football player at Emporia State in Kansas. He is 51 years old. He's been at A&M since 2019, and he just oversaw a change in leadership of the football program there. Of course, we want to bring in sports director Joe Nugent now, joining us with more on this hire. And of course, Joe, what this means for the athletic future of Ohio State.
I think Ohio State was looking for somebody who can start day one and knows what's going on. You know, being at Texas A&M, he's very familiar with NIL at this level.
Yeah.
He's familiar with conference expansion, which of course the Big Ten will go through this offseason as well. Also Texas A&M and Texas. I mean, those are two teams that are close to each other geographically, two teams that are massive rivals. And it feels a little bit like Ohio State, Michigan, like he understands a passionate fan base and having a rival right down the road.
Yeah, it's different for sure. There's a number of things to note here. Obviously, Ohio State has a departing AD.
Yeah, Gene Smith, he is going to be on the job, though, through June. So it seems like they make this announcement. Of course, this is January. We still have about 6 months with Gene Smith on the job, technically, right?
Yeah, and there will be some overlap, which I think will definitely help. I mean, part of the idea, I think, of Gene announcing that he was going to retire back in August was to give the university at least 11 months to work through this entire process of finding a good candidate, going through interviews, hiring somebody, and then once somebody comes in, they can learn with Gene right here in Columbus.
There's a couple interesting elements about this, too. Ohio State had a number of directions they could go with this. We're barely 2 weeks into the new presidency of Ted Carter.
Right.
I talked to Carter last week about this hire, and he said this person did not have to be a Buckeye, whether they were an athlete, a graduate, or had even worked on the staff. That was of note because there were several people who would have been viable candidates for this position who had those credentials. Think of Martin Jarmond at UCLA, highly in-demand guy. Pat Shunn at Washington State, who I think I talked to some folks who told me that he potentially could have had some interviews for this position. Heather Lyke at Pitt, another example. There were options for Ohio State. This is an interesting hire, a guy who has really no connections to Ohio State.
I think the SEC part of this might have played a role. I'll be very curious tomorrow when the press conference happens if maybe we learn some more information related to that. But, you know, at this point, it's Big Ten and it's the SEC. It's two conferences that are competing. He's coming from the SEC. He knows the SEC playbook at this point, what they're trying to accomplish over the next, 3, 4, 5 years. So I'm curious if that's part of this.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, it will be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Joe, thank you again. Ross
Formal
Bjork.
announcement tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, okay, something, of course, we
Tomorrow
will continue
at
to follow. Be sure to check NBC4i.com for additional details as well. We'll be back right after this.